4-hour clock, then you wouldn't see it moving. It'd be really slow. So it's just turning over than the sun and moon. So it's kind of fun to look at because after a while you stare at it, you start kind of turning with it.
Will you be making
Yeah, I'm making them constantly. That one, I'll sell them. Those are 500 because this one rotates, but it got jostled in bringing it up here, and I have a screw came loose, and I have to take it apart and fix it. I just noticed this one's got a little problem. You got.
You don't have a
concept is nothing I haven't gotten somewhat familiar with.
Rate of increase was. And you would think it'd be, okay, 3%, 3%, 3%, 3%, more each day, whatever the percentage would be. I think it is 3 or 4% is the average. But it's not. It might grow 1% the first day, 5% the second day, 3% the third day, 4%, 2%. It's all over the board the whole time the moon is what I call charging and discharging. It's all over the board. Nothing is gaining phases. It has one speed up and one slow down according to NASA, correct, as it goes around, and it's not even by that much. So that's something that needs to be explained. Here's the other thing. As bright as the and as far as I can remember, looking in textbooks, there's always that red spot, usually just left of center on the lower center part of Jupiter. You go online, you look at it, almost every picture, that's where it is. Is Jupiter locked to the Earth? Why do we always see the red spot? Does it never go to the other side? That, I don't know, it's just something I thought. I was like, is Jupiter landlocked to the Earth? Is it a ball? Now, why do I not think the moon is a ball? Well, it doesn't act like a ball. A ball with light shining on it like the sun should have a bright spot in the middle. It doesn't. The edges should flare away from us and get darker. It doesn't happen. It acts as a flat disk. These are all observations, what science calls observational data that you can use in the scientific method to prove something. Yet nothing that other than it being round like this, like a pie, we have no evidence whatsoever that that the moon is a ball. I want to get into sunspots. Some people are doing some brilliant work on sunspots. If you look at these Sochi satellites and other stupid satellites that people can't tell, it amazes me people can't tell they're looking at CGI. These CGI images of the sun, and they always show sunspots on this side, and they just march across, don't they? And then supposedly they come back again. Well, we have people now all over the Earth who are taking observations, taking pictures with Flat Earth's best friend, P900 and other things, and they are following the sunspots. They found out two amazing things. The sunspots don't do this. They might start there, but they move towards the center. And then they move back out, and then back towards the center, and then they sometimes rotate around. They do not act like the Sochi satellites. And these are people all over the world observing the same thing. Many, many witnesses. Not only that, but they saw parallax with the spots. In other words, someone in Europe sees the spot a little bit farther right than someone in America, let's say. You might see it farther left. And they've taken the actual photographs of the sun at the exact same time and shown the parallax. That is impossible if it is 93 million miles away. You would not notice parallax from Europe to the United States. I'm sorry. Here's another out-of-the-box thing. How many people have tried to point out crepuscular rays? By the way, my son Michael came to Flat Earth. He was always a denier. He was in my backyard. We were talking about something else. And he looked up at the sun, and there happened to be a cloud right there at that time. And beautiful crepuscular rays came out. And he looked at me, and he said, how far does science, and he's not into science. How far does science say that the sun is away? I said, 93 million miles. He looked back at it, looked back at me, and just did this. No way. He used logic and common sense. He's now a flat earth believer. See, you don't know what it is that's going to trigger someone to finally see the light. But anyway, with crepuscular rays, the cognitive dissonance is so bad. There was someone in England was doing a video chat with people, even on the other side, and when they saw a picture of crepuscular rays, they insisted they were parallel. It's all perspective and it's parallel. There's no way to get around light and shadow. There's no perspective that will make you think that, oh, the shadow over here really isn't facing that direction. So that was another proof that the sun is close. Now, of course, we've seen many videos now of balloons that have shown hot spots on the Earth, which is, again, another impossible thing. Speaking of balloons, there was one balloon launch I saw once that had this beep, 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 just all the way up. It was kind of annoying. But I started noticing that after a certain while, it was getting less and less and less. And it finally faded to nothing. And I realized, oh, there's not even enough air there to push the sound waves, let alone the balloon. Not even enough air to push the sound waves. And yet this thing's up there for 45 minutes at that altitude, not being pushed by anything. And it falls within 6 or 7 miles of where it was launched. You know, the whole theory is that the atmosphere, the ground, and the water all move together, which is an impossibility, by the way, because the atmosphere does not have any frictional force to it. It can't attach itself to the Earth and keep spinning. It just doesn't happen. But that was, to me, a proof, because in that amount of time, the Earth would have rotated about, I can't remember, upper air data. All right, let's take a look at the. You have a comet that comes by, Kohoutek, whatever, and then meteor showers. I think they're in the spring and they come out of Gemini. They appear to come out of Gemini. Every year we supposedly go around and come through this again. Well, wait a minute. We're supposed to be orbiting the sun, which is moving at so many hundreds of thousands of miles per hour through, which would now be like 30 billion miles away. If they're not heavy enough to fall to the Earth or be pulled to the sun, which satellites aren't, right? This is an oldie but a goodie, the sidereal day and the 24-hour day. I don't care what people tell you, they have the excuse of the sidereal day around it. Now, what they'll say is, well, there's a sidereal day. Now, sidereal means star. The stars are actually 4 minutes lagging each day. But the sun and the Earth, unbelievable that science even wants us to believe that. Plus, when you start thinking about how the moon phases are not affected by us going around the other side.
And then Justin, I'll ask you a question or two. You can just look at me
Okay.
when you answer. So came up from Orlando. What's kind of the purpose? Why'd you come up and want to experience the weekend?
A lot of reasons, really. I'm interested in meeting more people that are like-minded along this journey. I'm interested to talk to some of the experts, talk to people that have done the real-life experiments, and really just hear from the speakers and meet more people.
Where kind of you, in terms of your beliefs, your journey, kind of figuring things out?
I'm very confident that we don't live on a spinning globe. I don't really like to say that the Earth is flat, like my shirt says, but it's more of that we've been lied to about the current model, and what the model that we currently have, the heliocentric model, is a lie. And then NASA's lying about space travel, and that the Earth doesn't spin, and it's not a ball, basically. That's where I'm at.
And what's it like kind of getting around a lot of like-minded individuals and kind of exploring more of that idea?
Oh, it's great. You connect with people that are along the same journey with you. They're getting the ridicule from friends and family. People are like, oh, you guys are nuts. And so we have similar stories. A lot of people feel sort of alone, because they kind of are a loner with their belief here. But I have quite a few friends that are of the same belief, so I don't feel so alone as some people, but it's great to connect with people and hear their story.
How do you respond to that ridicule, that your words, people calling you nuts?
You basically just have to you get used to it, but really you just try to encourage people to do their own research. Like, I don't want them to just believe what I'm saying at face value. Just like the speaker said, if you just believe what the YouTube video said or what some guy said, then you're doing the same thing that we did in the first place. We just believe the scientists or believe the media or the government that just told us something. You need to check into it for yourself. Do your own research. Like, that's what we try to tell people to do, because I'm confident that if people do their own research objectively, that they will come to some conclusions and have some questions raised about, you know, where we live and what it looks like and what's going on in space and stuff.
What was it that kind of catalyzed just this exploration process for you?
It was a YouTube video that I found online. It was an Eric Dubé video called 200 Proofs the Earth is Not a Spinning Ball. And he really just laid it out there and talked about the history about it, the history of the Earth and the model that people thought we were on a long time ago. And it's really littered throughout history that we probably live on a flat and motionless plane and not a spinning ball. And once I saw the evidence of, you know, that there's no curvature measurable or observable anywhere in the world, well, you can take the Chicago skyline example or any tall structure over flat water, there's no curvature. And there's also, water doesn't bend or curve. The natural physics of water is to find its level and lay completely flat. So the fact that water is on a sphere and, you know, clinging to the exterior of a shape, spinning around, it becomes ridiculous once you get further into it. And I know it's well accepted right now, and you'd say gravity, but the natural physics of water, the lack of curvature, evidence of it, and the lack of evidence of motion. Things move in the sky, but we're not moving. It doesn't feel like we're moving. No one in the history of time has been able to prove that there is a curve or that there is any movement. And those are the two biggest ones, that and water and the horizon. The horizon's always flat and eye level, whether you're at sea, whether you're on an airplane, whether you send up a balloon up to 100,000 feet. The horizon is always completely flat and eye level, and that's only possible on a flat plane. If we were on a ball, you know, the horizon would remain where it is and you would rise up, but it doesn't. It always rises with the observer, because like perspective works. If you ever remember in art class, you know, vanishing point and perspective is at the horizon, and it's out of our vision basically. It's not over a curve like we assume. Those are the biggest points of why I think that.
Have you seen a growing popularity about these ideas?
Yeah, the last 2 to 3 years, it's really taken off. I don't really know what the reason is for that. Maybe it's just time, you know, for us to figure this out, that we've been lied to for a long time. But with the help of the internet, you know, when you told people that we went to the moon back in the 60s, you had to believe it. Most people say, well, how do you know we went to the moon? They'd say, well, I heard it on the radio. That's all they have. Well, now NASA's filming these videos on the ISS apparently, and we can watch them, and we can slow them down, and we can look at their green screen malfunctions. We can look at the bubbles that come up when they're in these underwater pools and they're not really in space. And when you see this stuff and you check it, you double check it, you compare it, you see that they're faking this. They're faking space travel. And because of technology and the internet, I think is why we're able to find out. It's harder to keep a lid on it with so much information now that's not controlled. You know, if a whistleblower wants to just make a video with his cell phone, he can do that. Before it was, you know, no one's going to hear it. It was a crazy conspiracy theory. We're not touching that story, and that's it. So now we have the ability to find out, I think.
Cool. Thank you, Justin.
Yeah, no problem.
Appreciate it.
Yep, thank you.
So, David, I'll ask you a question or two. You can just look at me when you answer. So you came from the UK, right?
Yes, I've come all the way from the UK for the conference.
What made you want to come out?
Well, when it got announced, I've been looking into Flat Earth about 2 years, and when it got announced, I just took this chance to not miss an opportunity like this, because it's like once in a lifetime opportunity. So that's why I'm here with my fiance today.
And what's it like surrounding yourself with a bunch of kind of like-minded individuals?
It's brilliant. I do regular meets up as well. I've met quite a few famous flat earthers in the UK. Allegedly Dave, he's quite a big flat earther. So I'm used to these meetups, and this was like the ultimate meetup, you know what I mean? Up to 500 plus people, all on the same level in one location, which is, I think, is amazing.
And so where are you with kind of your beliefs and where you stand?
Well, like majority of people, I see the videos as they come through your feed on YouTube, like Eric Dubé's 200 Proof the Earth's Not a Spinning Globe. And then basically I just done my own experiments. I've been to a coastal town in the UK called Skegness, and if you look across the sea, you can see the Norfolk coastline. And at the tip of that is a place called Cromer. And you can tell it's Cromer because they've started building the wind farms there. So when I got my zoom camera, I could actually zoom in on them wind farms at 41 miles away. Now, with Earth's curvature, it depicts that every mile there's a drop of 8 inches, and you square the distance at the second mile. Using that calculator, it should, in theory, be 900 feet below the horizon line. So it should be possible to see, but yet it's there, clear to see. And that to me proved that water always finds its level and is flat over a long distance like. So that's the actual research I've done, and now I'm looking into the moon. I'm doing a lot of research on the moon now. So I've spent a year collecting meridian passing data to find out when in its cycle the moon speeds up, when it slows down, and I've been comparing that with the elliptical orbit of the moon around the Earth according to NASA's numbers. See, so when I see it speed up, in reality, I'm saying, is it speeding up when the moon's at its closest point at perigee? And what I found is there's a lot of inconsistencies between that, because I put mine into a spreadsheet and I've got the peaks and where it speeds up, and it only speeds up when it leaves the Tropic of Cancer to the equator. That's the only time it speeds up, the moon, in its cycle. And what I found is a lot of inconsistencies. So that's what I'm working on at the moment. It's quite a big experiment I'm working on. So.
And what's your response to those people who tell you you're crazy?
I say, do your research. You know what I mean? When I first looked at it and I see the videos and that, I was like, impossible. It's impossible. And then when I started doing my own research, you start saying, hold on a minute, this don't make a lot of sense. You know what I mean? How can we see Chicago skyline from 56 miles from Lake Michigan? It's impossible. You know what I mean? Then they come on later and say, oh, it's because it was a mirage or something like that, or whatever they call it. So I just say, do the research and look into it. Yeah, it sounds preposterous, but if you do the research and look into it and you start seeing all the fakery, because I've got my own YouTube channel and I spend hours going through NASA's live feeds on the ISS when they're doing interviews and what have you. And I've got so many inconsistencies. I've got it where it goes to pass a hat to the other guy, but he doesn't pass the hat and the hat's still there and he's actually hanging a hat up and it's still floating around in front of him, you know what I mean? I've got them where they do somersaults and they slip and it looks like they're on some kind of harness. Yeah, people say, well, we can't see the wires, and I'll say, well, when I'm on Snapchat and I put my phone to my face, I've got a pair of rabbit ears, but you can't see them, can you? You know what I mean? They're using that similar kind of technology. So I'd say just look at NASA, look at some of the footage, look at some of the inconsistencies and see. And like I say, and another big one is there is no images of Earth. If you look at all images from Earth, yeah, they'll even tell you they're all composite images. There's no actual photograph of Earth, though they do claim the one from 1969 from the Apollo missions were a photograph, but that's been proved wrong in the past. So that's where I'm at in my research.
It seems like there's been a growing popularity the past few years about these ideas. What do you think that's from?
It's difficult because since I started researching it, I've started collecting books. And some of the books I've got from the early 1900s, from Dr. Samuel Rowbotham, and other flat Earth researchers in the early 1900s. But it goes further back than that. I've got a book called The Christian Topography from the 6th century. And this guy is a monk called Cosmos in ancient Egypt. And he's debating his fellow monks about the shape of the Earth in the 6th century. You know what I mean? This is not a new thing. It's just been going for so long, but it's been hidden quite well. And I think it's just come to light now. I don't know why it come to light, you know what I mean? Some people say it's a psyop and this, that and the other, but I don't know personally. It's just here, you know what I mean? And with the internet and obviously all the access we've got to knowledge and information now, it's easy to find, you know what I mean?
Now this was a long trip from you from the UK. Was there any question, any doubt whether you wanted to come or not?
None at all. As soon as it got announced, I basically booked the hotel and I booked the ticket straight away. And like I say, it was once in a lifetime opportunity to come here and meet some people who I look up to, Mark Sargent, Jeranism, Rob Skiba, all these kind of guys. Robbie Davison, who put this event on. I've talked with him regular on Facebook. You know what I mean? So I do know these people as well.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. Appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time. Thank you, David. So you look at me, I'll ask you a couple questions.
Okay.
Can I first get your first name and last name and spell it for me?
David Weiss, W-E-I-S-S.
And David, why did you decide to come down this weekend?
This is a gathering of people that have discovered we've been lied to our entire lives from childhood. And it's a great place to share thoughts that other people are really resistant to even hearing.
And this is the first annual international one, is that correct?
This is the first conference that I'm aware of, yes.
Okay. And kind of what was kind of in terms of the decision making to come down and speak on the panel here?
Well, I was invited down by Robbie, the promoter, and it's something that I'm very passionate about. You know, we've been lied to our entire lives about who we are, where we are, what we are, to a level that is beyond what most people can even fathom. And you know, I somehow have been able to wake up to it. You know, I was introduced to Flat Earth, and I ignored it. I refused to look at it. People were sending me videos. I wouldn't watch a 1-minute video because it's so ridiculous. And then I was speaking with somebody who I trust a lot, and about all the deceptions that are going on in the world. And at the end of the conversation, she said, well, you know, for all I know, the world may be flat. And I'm like, what? That's crazy. So then I decided I'm just going to debunk this. And I spent about 2 weeks really digging in, trying to debunk it. And that's how you become a flat earther.
And have you experienced a lot of pushback since you started believing those things?
Well, it's not about believing. Belief is the enemy of knowing. It's about actually examining what you've been told. Right now, you believe when you watch the sunset that you're falling over backwards faster than the speed of sound. That's what you believe. And that's because you were told that when you went to kindergarten and they told you you live here on this globe and it's spinning. So I examine what we're being told, and all of the evidence, not just some of it, all of it, tells us that the heliocentric spinning ball flying through infinite space is utter nonsense.
So what's your kind of thoughts to those people who just say you're believing a conspiracy theory?
Well, those people are just saying stuff because they're not thinking. You know, the population of this world is fluoridated and vaccinated into the point where they cannot even think and process information. We're just told about, you know, this ball that we live on that is flying through space, that, you know, once there was nothing, it exploded and became everything. It makes perfect sense. You know, then, you know, a monkey turned into a human, and here we are. So science, we believe in science. It's just science has been hijacked. It's the biggest religion going right now, because all of the stuff, they're like, you know, the evolution is real. There's no questioning. We live on a spinning ball, and men went to the moon. And those are facts, and you can't question them. But if you actually have the courage to look at them and not go with the herd mentality, it's clearly obvious that all of it is fraud.
You said earlier that you thought at the beginning all this was kind of ridiculous.
When you first hear about it from our lifelong indoctrination into this heliocentric nonsense, it is ridiculous until you take the time to look. I refused for 6 months. You know, I was doing a podcast about conspiracies, and people were sending me this flat earth stuff, and I was deleting it. I was banning people from our social media. I'm like, I don't even want you posting here anymore because you're an idiot. And then I looked. Remember the movie They Live, right? Where Rod Piper is trying to make the guy look through the glasses that show him reality, and he wouldn't even look. He fought until he was forced to look. Once you look, seriously look, then you see that you've been lied to.
Also, then, what's your message to those people who look at this and say it's ridiculous?
Well, nobody actually really looks at it and says it's ridiculous. Only the people that take a cursory look on the surface and just, you know, there's videos debunking everything. Someone says something, somebody makes a debunking video about it. If you just watch the stuff that fits your belief system and believe it, that's your choice. It's not about belief, it's about knowing.
So your message to people, just do your own research?
Do your own research, but there's a lot of people that have done the research for you. Go watch the research and then check it. If somebody says, you know, if Elon Musk says, hey, we're landing this rocket on a raft in the middle of the ocean just like this, you know, are you going to believe it, or are you going to look into what they're actually showing you? People just believe that he can land a rocket on a raft and, you know, 30 knots of wind. It's complete and total nonsense and untruths. So my message is, think, investigate, look at the facts, and don't assume anything.
And it seems like these ideas have been growing in popularity the past few years.
Well, if flat Earth was nonsense, it would have died quickly after it started, because people are not stupid when they really want to look at something, and people from all walks of life are waking up to flat Earth, and nobody wakes up to flat Earth and then goes back to the ball ever. There are people that, like, all right, I can't deal with it anymore, and they disappear because they can't take the social pressure. It's not a way to make friends and impress your family, because if they're not willing to look, they're going to think you're crazy.
And do conferences like this, where hundreds of people get together, does that help at all with your beliefs in terms of what you believe?
Well, again, it's not my beliefs; it's my understanding of what I've actually looked into. Everything we're taught in school, or most of it, not everything, is belief-based. They tell us, that rockets go into space. When a rocket goes up, every time we watch it go up, it curves over, it goes out of sight, and then it switches to a cartoon, and we're told that it went into space. And that's a belief. You didn't go there, and it didn't happen if you look at it.
You got anything, Dave? Good? Cool. Dave,
All right.
Okay.
Let me get a level.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, flip it on the outside.
Okay. People are building models just like these to help better debunk the flat Earth theory.
Let's see what happens.
Ready? Yep. Okay. People are building models like these to help debunk the flat Earth theory. Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, people are staring. I'm sorry. I don't like it when people stare. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. People are building models like these to help debunk the flat Earth theory.
Good. 3, 2, 1. Hundreds from around the world or across the world are gathering here in Cary for the International Flat Earths Conference. Flat Earth? Flat Earthers? Flat Earth International Conference. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Hundreds from around the world or across the world are gathering here in Cary for the Flat Earth International Conference, coming up why they believe what they believe. Do one more just in case. Yeah. 3, 2, 1. Hundreds from around the world or across the world are gathering here in Cary for the Flat Earth International Conference, coming up why they believe what they believe. Okay, and then stand up bridge. You want to do the same? 3, 2, 3, 2, 1. And many attending the conference say it's 3, 2, 1. And many attending the conference here say it's 3, 2, 1. And many attending the conference here say the theory has really gained popularity over the past few years, enough popularity where they can hold conferences like this.
One, two, three. Many people travel to this conference to share their thoughts. They come from Texas, New Zealand, and even an artist from Portland.
Hold up a little higher when you do it.
Okay. All right. Many people travel to this conference to share their thoughts. They come from Texas, New Zealand, and even an artist from Portland.